Today we're looking at the 11 things we need to do once you get the Capital One Venture X Rewards credit card. This includes tracking dates, signing up for benefits, and also keeping an eye out for deals. If you are new to cards, especially premium ones, this list might save you a few hundred in value and help you avoid a headache in the future. Big favor before we dive into everything though is to give this a thumbs up to help with the algorithm. If you know someone that might benefit, then share this with them. Okay, step number 1 is marking down key dates. The big one is when you get approved. The main reason is due to the intro bonus window. For example, you're earning X thousand bonus miles after Y dollars in spend in the first Z months. Knowing when this is for you is important. The clock starts when the account opens, which is usually soon after approval. It sounds really dumb, but this is how a lot of people get screwed. It's well worth spending 10 seconds to make a note on your calendar. One of the other benefits of this is cognitive offloading. The other benefit of noting this down is tracking your bonus eligibility window. In the case of this card as of filming, it's 48 months. Not a big deal early on, but pretty useful in the end game when you might be returning to some older cards. Also side note, but if you do want a checklist of all of these items that you can mark off, we do have a free Notion template that I'll put down below. I'll put it in the description box and send you an email with that Notion link. Step number 2 is requesting your Priority Pass card. This is another one that's pretty easy to forget. So log in and press travel, then scroll to the bottom, and down there you're going to see enroll in your complimentary Priority Pass membership. Here you press learn more and they'll bring you to another site to activate your card. All you need to do is enter your card number and complete the CAPTCHA. After doing this, it might take up to 2 weeks. If you do have multiple cards, so for example I have one that has restaurants, then you might want to get a label maker just to mark down which one's which. But yeah, weirdly one of my favorite purchases. This is also helpful if you end up getting other cards in the future that also have Priority Pass, but maybe have different guesting rules for lounges. Step number 3 is what I'd call miscellaneous tech stuff. So lots of tiny ones here. For example, number 1, I download the Priority Pass app and set it up, that way you don't need to bring your physical card. I usually do end up still tossing in one in my backpack just in case, but 9 times out of 10, nowadays, you don't really need it unless the internet's out, or unless it's a smaller lounge that's not as tech forward. This is a pretty big departure from before, where they actually needed to swipe your card in order to process it, so I'd say before 2020. Okay, back to it. After doing all of this, I'd also add it to your mobile wallet just to make it easier. Speaking of which, I'd also add the Capital One card to your mobile wallet. This is one of the best everywhere else cards as a catch-all, given the 2x miles on everything. Given this, you might as well have it with you pretty much everywhere you go. In a similar vein, I'd also download the Capital One app, main draw being that you can join the waitlist for their lounges. This also means that if you forget their card or if you decide not to bring it, then you can still access their lounges. Step number 4 is the travel credit. Compared to a lot of other premium cards that have a lot of credits and coupons and stuff, this is a very straightforward option. Also relatively easy to break even or get fair value from with the tangible perks. A big part of this is the $300 annual travel credit for bookings through Capital One Travel. This is annual but by card member year, so in this case December 31st doesn't really matter since it's based off when you got the card. But yeah, main idea here is that you'd want to consider using the portal for your next trip. Given how it works, you might as well use it as soon as possible. If you do find that some things are overpriced, this leads into number 5, travel protections. Capital One actually has pretty good features here. There's a lot going on here, but I'll cover 3. The first one is that you can set alerts for price drops that we can book when it drops. If you do end up booking something and the price drops afterwards, then you might be able to get a travel credit to cover some of the difference. It is only up to $50 as a travel credit, but that's $50 more than everyone else. One of the best perks though is the price match guarantee, which is within 24 hours of booking where you get the difference as a travel credit. So even if prices are more expensive on Capital One, just price match. Given the 24-hour window, absolute worst case if they don't match, you can still cancel and get a full refund. For hotel, it depends on your state, which might have something similar. Also potentially if you have elite status. Reminder that you might not always need to do this, so a lot of people complain, but it might be a squeaky wheel problem. So for example, this person found that 40% of their bookings through the portal were actually cheaper for hotels. Maybe I'm alone there, but that feels pretty fair. So for example, I like shopping in Amazon and that's my go-to, but sometimes other places will be cheaper. Also for hotels, some of the other cheaper prices are shadier sites. For example, for Hotel 1000, the direct rate might be $387. You pretty much see the same thing from the big reputable platforms as well, so $386. The super cheap rates are going to be the ones that you've probably never heard of before, like super.com. In a lot of cases, they're committing to buying leftover inventory and then pre-selling it at a discount. If the hotel ends up selling out, then you're out of luck and you need to find somewhere else to stay. In a major US city, probably not a big deal. If you are somewhere a bit more remote though, and the next nearest option is a 20-minute bus ride in a snowstorm away, then not ideal. Ironically, the pro tactic here is to use Capital One. A lot of the people that are well-traveled won't use these shadier options, but they will use them to price match and get the best of both worlds. But yeah, this is one of the more underrated benefits of the card. If you are debating it, we do have a calculator that should pop up if you Google Venture X, worth it, AskSebby. It lets you run the numbers for your situation, that way you can figure out the value and whether it makes sense. On a side note, if you want to learn about this card, or pretty much any other card out there, and you want to support the channel, we have links on the website, AskSebby.com, and also down below in the description box. Make sure the links are competitive, that the cards make sense for you, but otherwise it's a huge way to support the channel, so thank you in advance. Number 7 is to sign up for Hertz President Circle. This is another fast one, but well worth doing. So you're going to get the status just by enrolling, and it's going to be the top level status that normally requires 15 rentals per year, or 3,000 spent with them. So instead of dropping 3K in car rentals a year with them, you get it by having this card. You earn more rewards, you get guaranteed upgrades, and you have the widest selection of cars. Depending on the location, you can skip the counter, and you also get guaranteed car class upgrades. Yeah, even if you only rent cars once a year or you're not sure whether you're going to use it, I think it is still worth grabbing. Step number 7 is potentially to change your card for your phone payments. This one's a big maybe depending on you. So long story short, this card has a lot of protections, and you get it by paying your phone bill with the card. The 3 key points being that you're limited to $800 per claim, $1,600 in claims per 12-month period, and you have a $50 deductible per claim. If you have a brand new iPhone or Samsung Galaxy, probably makes a bit less sense. In those cases, maybe the direct options with more coverage would be better given the higher cost. Even if you have a cheaper phone like the Nexus, Pixel, or OnePlus, and you normally don't break your phone, then it might not make sense either. The downside is opportunity cost. For a lot of the big carriers, you're going to get a discount with autopay, but this is usually only of checking and saving accounts. So for credit card, you're getting these benefits, but you're not getting that discount. So you could argue that yes, it is a perk, but there's also a cost. Your mileage may vary whether it makes sense, but worth debating. Step number 8 is adding authorized users. Okay, this one's going to be a pretty controversial one. So a lot of how the card works is changing on February 1st, 2026. Most of this is going to be around lounge access for guests and for authorized users, and I feel like I have covered that pretty well in prior videos. For the purpose of this video, we're going to focus on long-term benefits, so February 1st, 2026 and onwards. Okay, so after all these changes, why would you want to add an authorized user? First off, they do get Hertz status themselves with an authorized user card. If they use the card to pay for their phone bill, they also have coverage with that cell phone protection. That's pretty much it by itself. The other consideration is paying $125 per authorized user card to enable lounge access for their card. Outside of these 3 items, there's not that much going on. But yeah, if you do want to do this, you can add up to 4 authorized users for no additional cost. You have 2 options. You can either add them as an account manager or authorized user. Note that for both these options, they do not get their own travel credits and a lot of other things. Step number 9 is to sign up for Global Entry or TSA PreCheck. In most cases, you want to sign up for Global Entry. So you can kind of think of it as 2 different levels. Level 1's PreCheck, Level 2 Global Entry. Level 2 gets you all the benefits of Level 1. So if you do end up getting Global Entry, you get the benefits of TSA PreCheck. For 99% of people, it's going to make more sense. Step number 10 is to learn about transfer partners. One of the big draws of the card is that it earns miles. The best way to use miles, if you're looking to maximize value, is transferring out to partners, generally first and business class international flights. You don't have to do this obviously, you can do economy if you want, but for a lot of people, the main draw of miles over cash back is about that upside. Capital One has more than 15 airline and hotel transfer partners. There is a lot going on here with different transfer rates, partners, and how it works. I'll link to a cheat sheet down below as a starting point if you are interested. Let's run through one example. So I do end up using this one a lot because I like it and I do it a lot myself, and also because it's the best value, and it's going to be transferring the Virgin to book ANA first and business. The benefit is that you get a ton of value and upside, and also just a great flight. The downside is that you need flexibility and be willing to do homework. For example, let's say you transfer 85,000 Capital One miles to 85K Virgin Red points. You can then use these Virgin Red points to book with Virgin's partners. So Virgin has their own award chart for each of their partners, and let's look at the ANA one. So here we're looking to spend Virgin points with ANA. Unlike with cash that floats and fluctuates, these are fixed numbers. For example, for business class from the US to Japan, you're looking at 37.5K to 60K, and for first, 57.5K to 85K. Finding availability can be tough though. The best way is to wait for an award space drop. Think of this like a Black Friday, quarterly or monthly sale, or Prime Big Day sale. They're pretty much dumping inventory that they don't think they can sell to us points and miles people. In addition to big drops, you might see mini ones either once a week or even a few times a week. For example, we saw one a few hours ago, and Virgin Red typically shares the same award space as United and Virgin Velocity. The prices you're seeing on the right is what United would charge you, but we're using the Virgin Red chart. Note that a lot of these do come up but might disappear in a few hours, so this is the space as of 1 hour ago. My favorite tool for this is SeatsAero, which has pretty good alerts. There are a bunch of tools out there for this, so find the one that works for your brain. As an Excel monkey, I prefer SeatsAero. But yeah, if you're wondering how your coworker who makes the same amount of money as you is taking these absurd looking trips, this is probably how. Lastly, you want to keep track of transfer promos. So Capital One will oftentimes have promotions where they'll give you extra value for transfers. We do end up sending out emails, so it might be worth signing up. We end up running through transfer promos, the rates, redemptions, how you want to use the points, and also availability I see. If you're interested, I'll put a link down below, but that's usually where I cover it first, since it's easier to send an email rather than make a video, edit it, and finalize it and publish. In most cases, the videos are a bit delayed. Super fast, even with transfer promos, I'd be careful of 3 things. Number 1, only transfer if you have a use case in mind and you know what you're doing. Don't transfer just because it's a good deal, especially if you don't know the currency. Number 2, look for availability for your dates. Ideally, you do the transfer from Capital One to the partner and then redeem the points right afterwards or very soon after. Number 3, if you do speculatively transfer, so transfer because it's a good rate, then be comfortable and okay with devaluations. Transfers are a one-way street, so once you bring it over from Capital One, you can't send it back. There is a ton of value to be had. This is how I travel, and this is why I got into points and miles, but there's also a lot of missteps you can take, so be careful. Also a reminder that you do get an anniversary bonus every card member anniversary, so that's 10,000 bonus miles every year, so after the first year, after year 2, 3, and 4, and onwards. For most people, this plus the travel credit easily makes the $395 annual fee worth it. Still, I'd recommend playing with the calculator to make sure the numbers work in your favor, because that's the whole point. If it doesn't, then there are a ton of other good cards out there that might be a better fit. Again, if you want to learn about cards, whether this one or pretty much any other card out there, we have links on the website, AskSebby.com, and down below in the description box. I weirdly want sushi right now, so if you made it to this point, leave a fish emoji in the comments down below, and I'll try to heart it and also respond. 3 questions. Number 1, what are your thoughts on the card? Number 2, which features are you most excited for, or have you gotten the most value from? Also number 3, how do you typically use your miles, or how do you plan to use them? Let me know and everyone else know in the comments down below. Big favorite, thumbs up, share this, otherwise hope you liked it. See you next time.